Hello, and how are you all? I hope you are doing well. Today's recipe is a melt-in-your-mouth grilled meat prepared in an innovative way with minimal effort and time. You can prepare this tender grilled meat along with an amazing dipping sauce, and also with potatoes if you prefer them over meat. You might think that this meat took hours to become this tender, but today I will share with you an innovative cooking method that is very delicious and includes a fantastic sauce. This can be served with rice or bread. As I mentioned earlier, the taste of this sauce is truly amazing. Now let's start with the method. We have a teaspoon of cumin, a teaspoon of paprika, half a teaspoon of turmeric, half a teaspoon of black pepper, and also a teaspoon of ground coriander. Also, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, but adjust the salt to your taste and depending on the type of salt you use. Mix the spices together. Here we have 1.5 kilos of meat. This is veal, but you can use any type of meat you prefer. Then mix the meat with these spices. I do not add any oils or liquids, just rub it with these spices, ensuring all the meat is well coated. Continue this process until all the spices are used up and the meat is fully seasoned. Now, after we've rubbed the meat with the spices, we move on to the next step, which is grilling. Grill the meat on a barbecue or any grill you have, using a small amount of oil and high heat to retain its juices. Place the meat on very high heat. We just want the meat to get some color and a quick sear. Cook it until it browns on the bottom, then flip it to the other side. Look, it's taken on a brown or dark golden color. The meat should be brown or dark golden. The lighter color, or the red color, is from the spices. Flip it over. No juices should be released from the meat, as you can see. After the meat has taken on the desired color, make sure it's well colored on all sides. Then remove it from the grill. Now, we place parchment paper on top of aluminum foil. Here are 3 or 2 potatoes, depending on your preference, and 2 onions, chopped. We also have a 1/4 cup of coriander. For the spices, I only add salt to the potatoes. Potatoes don't need any other spices, just a sprinkle of salt. Also, here are 2 onions, chopped into small cubes. Rub the meat with the onions, then add the green coriander, about a 1/4 cup or as much as you like. But I think this amount is suitable for this amount of meat. Place the meat with the onions after rubbing it a bit with the onions, then start placing the potatoes underneath the meat. Add the coriander and make sure to distribute it and the onions over all the meat, as this is the secret to making the onions melt and create a delicious sauce with the spices from the meat and the grilling flavor. This sauce is unique and can be used for dipping bread or to be served over rice, or you can just enjoy the meat without any rice or bread. The presentation is according to your preference. Add the potatoes like this, sprinkle the rest of the onions, and after completing all the layers of potatoes, coriander, and meat, start covering it. First, cover tightly with parchment paper so that the meat doesn't touch the foil, as it will be cooked for a relatively long time, so we must be careful that the foil doesn't touch the meat. Cover the meat like this, and then take a large piece of aluminum foil and wrap the meat in it again. The covering must be very tight, as this helps in cooking the meat quickly. After covering the meat, it's ready for the final stage. Now, I have a pressure cooker. This is the secret in this type of recipe. Normally, this meat would take a long time to become tender, but in a pressure cooker, it only needs about 2 hours, depending on the type of meat used, and this significantly reduces the cooking time. Now, add a quarter cup of water beside the pressure cooker, just in case, but the meat should not stick at all. Turn on the heat under the pressure cooker, and if you want to add a little more water, increase it to half a cup, but no more. Light the fire until the whistle starts to move. Once the whistle starts moving, turn the heat down to a lower setting and cook the meat for 2 hours and 10 minutes, or as long as your type of meat requires. Look at how the pressure cooker is clean and not burnt, and the meat is completely tender and melting. I'll tell you how to calculate the time for this type of meat. If the type of meat you have takes 1 hour to cook in boiling water, it will take 2 hours in this method, so you can use this method to measure the time. For me, this type of meat takes an hour and 5 minutes to boil, so I left it for 2 hours and 10 minutes. Look at it, how the meat is tender and the potatoes are soft, and there's no trace of the onions left. The onions have turned into a delicious sauce. You can serve this at gatherings. Look, it's so tender it can hardly be touched. Extremely delicious meat. If you liked this recipe, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and share the recipe with your friends. See you in another recipe.